Hii ni wanta.
Fall in love all over again while traveling together.
Hello.
Download Agoda app now.
Hii ni wanta.
Again while traveling together. Download Agoda app now.
Hii ni wanta.
Can you hear me, Dala? All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this meeting. It promises to be a wonderful time today. If you can hear me, whether you're on YouTube or you're on Teams, on Google Meet, just thumbs up if you are able to hear me clearly. We have our speaker already in the room and we'll soon be bringing her in. Dala, if you can hear me, please just um, share your screen so that I can have your screen set up before we start. We're just going to wait for another 5 minutes to get more people to join the call before we start. We have some people joining online, and we have some people that are joining us directly from team from. Okay, let me set this up. Assign to 10. Okay. We're just going to wait for another 5 minutes. If you are here and you're excited to be here, just I need to see your reaction, whether you're on Facebook or you're on Google Meet. Just do some thumbs up, post in all the groups that we are already live and we are ready to go. It promises to be a very wonderful session. Dala is somebody that I've worked with for a couple of years, and I've seen how she has transitioned from classroom teacher to learning support and then to vice principal. And then she also handles recruiting. So she'll be bringing in a wealth of experience today that we can leverage on as we position ourselves for international opportunities. Okay, I think we're okay. We have 1 more minute, and then we'll just take it up from there. Okay, I'm just going to start now. So, good morning, everyone. Many of you currently find yourself in teaching routine that has become perhaps a bit too comfortable, or perhaps you're among those who in recent years found yourself teaching from your own kitchen table to an audience of two-dimensional being. If you have ever caught yourself thinking there has to be another way, then you are in the right place. We are standing here to discuss the opportunity that exists for educators to uh, position themselves for international position. Today, there are over 9,600 English medium international schools worldwide, a sector that is growing at a rate nearly 6% annually. However, as the demand for teachers increases, the landscape is becoming more complex. Uh, Being a global educator means leading with cultural intelligence, and you'll find yourself in multicultural environments. And so we need to know the vital tool that allows you to interact effectively with people outside your own culture and adapt your leadership or teaching style to a diverse work environment. It also means demonstrating pedagogical agility. To leverage these opportunities, you must move beyond the local mindset. You need to strategically position yourself. So you need a strategic digital identity. Um, this starts with a CV that quantifies, not just qualify now, quantifies your impact using data to prove you didn't just do the job, but you improve test scores, reduce disciplinary incidents, or led to school-wide initiative. A lot of us in our CVs, we are always talking about roles and responsibility, not necessarily discussing results, how you solve the problem. So part of the things we'll be looking at is how to shift your CV from just routine activities to actual deliverables, in innovation and initiatives that you are able to do, and practical things that are data driven that you can also prove. This presentation and accompanying manual, the Global Educator Playbook, is designed to be your roadmap. And so we will be bringing in our guest today, who happens to be somebody that I have worked with, like I said. And I would like to bring her in. Her name is Dala. She will just introduce herself in a short while, and then we can have our presentation. So the way the meeting is going to go is there will be close to about 60 to 90 minutes where she will present, and she will tell you what she will be working on, speaking about, and I would take on the remaining part to demonstrate to you or show to you platforms that you can use and how you can actually get the ball rolling, to leverage on this opportunity. So without much ado, let's just bring in Dala. Uh, Hi, Dala.
Hello. Thank you,
Hi.
Rotimi. That was really a great introduction. So kind of you. Yes, I am happy to share some perspectives on how to prepare yourself for international teaching, especially now that I've taken the step towards international teaching and been in it for a few years now. And I'm on the other side now where I'm looking at who to recruit and hire and bring in. I'm excited to share some of those insights as well. And I did also do a little research on some specific helpful strategies for people who have Nigerian passports as well. So hopefully that information will be helpful for our viewers. Are they able to see my slideshow?
Okay. Okay, let me bring it up now and see if, okay, yeah, yes, your slide should be available for everyone to see. If you can see her slide, please let me know. If you cannot, then
Is it
just,
possible? Is it possible to do the little one in the circle at the bottom? I think that would look a little bit better.
okay,
Yeah, that's good.
okay.
Okay, hopefully I don't cover up my slides. And also hopefully I go slowly. I am a bit nervous. All right, so thank you so much for taking some time today to inquire about international teaching. After taking that transition, I am a really strong advocate for international teaching. I feel that it opens you up to new experiences that you can't always have whenever you're in your own like hometown, and also meeting people from all over the world who bring new insights and positive challenges of how to work with people who you've never always had the same perspective on things. So, international teaching has been something that has brought a lot of growth for me personally and also for my family as well. So, for today's topics, I'm going to talk with you about typical international school structures, because before you really take the leap, it's really important that you do a lot of research on what type of school you can envision yourself in, or what type of school your credentials have prepared you for. Then we'll also talk about location strategy because it is a process sometimes on planning on how you're going to market yourself to a school based on the location that they are at. Also, the recruitment cycle, depending on the country, it might be a little bit different where you're interested in going, but the typical recruitment cycles are relatively similar for international schools. Um, we'll also cover some interview tips, some commonly asked questions in international school interviews, which are really important to have a strong understanding of how you would answer them. Also going to cover how to market yourself, how to take the strengths that you have and make them easy to see on the recruiter side when we're looking at your CV or when we're looking at your profile online. And then also, I wanted to touch on the financial preparations because I do think that's something that most people don't always take into consideration is like when you're planning all of this stuff, you also have to plan that financial piece of getting wherever you're going. Some of those can sneak up and surprise you. So it's important to have a lot of plans in place when you do take that leap into international schools. So for school structures, there are about 4 or 5 different types to consider, and it depends on your credentials as well too. So if you have experience in British curriculum, you'd want to look for schools who have international baccalaureate accreditations, IGCSE, A-level programs. There are also schools that follow the American curriculum, and in high school, they would be using AP programs. For the American curriculum schools and for British schools, also, it would be really helpful if you had credentials from that country, especially for like American schools, which is where I work at. I can speak more to that. We're looking for people who know the American Common Core state standards, and they're very familiar with how to identify the standards that are the most important to instruct and what we're going to assess on. And also, they understand the flow of the different grade levels. And typically, you learn all of those skills when you go through an American teaching program. That could be something that you would look at online, or if you are in the States, going to the States and having that experience too. For British curriculum, they're looking for people with British teaching certifications as well. International baccalaureate, those are really common among international schools. So IB programs are, I would say, even more common than AP programs are. And typically, people know more about the International Baccalaureate or IB program. So if you have any certifications with IB, that also will help make you super marketable and stand out when recruiters are looking at your profiles. The Australian, Canadian, or other hybrid systems as well. You can also find international schools with specific to those countries as well. And you would also want to look into what those certifications would look like. And then there are 2 types of international schools. There are for-profit schools and there are nonprofit schools. So for-profit schools mean that it's governed by people who are in the interest of making a profit from the school while also providing a high education for the students. Nonprofit schools are governed more by organizations that maybe they're supporting a specific cause. So they're not going to take proceeds from the student enrollment. They're going to put those elsewhere. And then there are also different levels of schools. There's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 schools. And that can kind of be distinguished from their like informal reputation, which would be what you would find like online or just knowing kind of the status about the schools that you're looking into. It's always important to look into, obviously, which of these school structures fit your teaching philosophy, and then also into the schools in the countries that you're looking at. Look at their mission statements, look at their vision statements, try and maybe check out their social medias to see what are they doing, what's happening in their classrooms, so that you can get a feel like, is this the environment and the community that I'm looking for? Is this where I can also grow as a teacher, as an educator? A lot of international schools are also accredited by International Baccalaureate or the Council of International Schools, Western Association of Schools and Colleges. Now, typically, teachers should be highly involved in the accreditation process. So that is something that you would also really need to know. If you find a school in a location where you really desire, the first thing you should do is see, like, how are they accredited? And then go through and understand what that accreditation cycle looks like. If you're talking to a recruiter and you say, "Oh, I saw you're accredited by WASC. I'm really familiar with that process. What part of the cycle are you in?" And then that will make you stand out from other candidates, because then the recruiter will say, "Oh, maybe they'd be willing to take on a task in that, or maybe they would go above and beyond by helping organize a specific domain within our accreditation," because accreditations are super important to the longevity of the school, and also a reflection on how well our school is at reviewing our current practices and being mindful of where we want to take our students in the future. So, the next thing you should think about as someone who is looking to go international is the location strategy. So, after you have a good understanding of the type of school that you're looking at, then you would look at the country. Where should we go? From Nigeria, many teachers actually move to the Middle East. Often, it's very financially advantageous there. A lot of people are wanting to go to the Middle East. If you can go there and then you gain 2 to 3 years at a larger accredited school, then that makes the transition kind of like a stepping stone. And going into Europe or any higher tiered Asian schools would be a much easier transition once you have some type of international school experience under your belt on your CV. That would make you even more marketable. Oftentimes, it's really tricky to just jump into an international school. So you'd want to try and make those steps. It takes some time to find those positions that can take brand new international teachers, but please don't lose hope, because everyone has to start new somewhere. And there's always opportunities no matter where. You just have to keep looking. A lot of regions with strong growth potential right now currently are the United Arab Emirates, Oman, and Qatar. There's also a lot of potential in Saudi Arabia, Southeast Asia, China, and Malaysia. And Malaysia just happens to be where Rotimi and I are currently located. So you want to think of it as a stepping stone plan, not just a single leap. Rotimi, could you please move my little circle over? Don't know if that's possible. Thank you. Magical. All right. So next up, I'll talk about the recruitment cycle that is pretty typical for international schools. So it depends on the curriculum that you are familiar with or applying for. So if you're applying for an American curriculum using school, like a school that uses American curriculum, their peak hiring season is going to be October to February, because their school will start in August. And sometimes that means you would need to arrive in that country by July. So you kind of need to backwards plan your method of arrival and all of that too. You would want to start updating your online platform in August, getting all of your principals and anyone who supervises you to provide a reference on there would be essential. Because when we look at that, the first thing we look at are the references. And we're looking for principals' references, not just teachers who have worked with you or parents from your classroom. We want to know, like, how are you when you're being led? And also for January starts, which are typically the British or Australian sometimes school systems, they would be looking for September to November. And that would need to start probably in June or July to get prepared for those interviews. And those are for January start dates. So that goes from January to December, whereas the August start date would go from August to June. You have some options whenever it comes to recruiting platforms. Search Associates is costly, but it's reliable for credentials. So schools who use Search Associates, they have to pay more money to review things there, and the teachers who use it have to pay more money to use it. But the way that they go about verifying the candidates makes it so that the recruiting people know, okay, this is a real person. These are real professionals who are putting in a reference for this person. So Search Associates is a really strong and solid platform if you are interested in that. There are also other ones like International School Services. They also provide some professional development as well. Opportunities. So that would be really good for you if you were to go use that platform. TESS and Scroll have kind of combined within the last few months now. I think they're still in the shifting phase, but they also provide online professional developments as well. And Scroll is what I'm most familiar with. And it's really easy to create your profile there. And then just the main point, again, just as all the other ones, is to make sure that you have your principals and any supervisors doing the reference checks, because they are blind references. So you go on your profile, you put in their email address and their information, and then they receive an email, and then they complete that, and it goes directly to the platform. So then when recruiters are looking at it, they can see an honest experience from that reference, which is really helpful in the hiring process too. Many schools also post directly on their websites. So if you have your heart set on a curriculum and you have it on the country also, then you can go directly to websites as well to apply. When you get all of this started, so usually August timeframe, you want to have all of your documents ready. You want to monitor the platforms starting in early September for postings, because postings will go quickly. And then once you receive an email or receive a message on the platform, you're going to want to respond also rather quickly. And sometimes positions can be filled within days. Sometimes positions take a little bit longer because maybe they're looking for exactly what you have to offer and bring to the table. So always be intentional about responding and trying to schedule the interviews as quickly as possible. Sometimes in the past, when I would reach out to candidates, I would say, hey, are you interested in having a conversation? And then they would say, oh, I'm available next week. And then unfortunately, by the time next week comes, the position has been filled. So try to be very flexible with your time, not only interviewing during the school day or right before or after, but maybe that might require later in the night or earlier in the mornings, depending on the country that you're interested in and the time zone that that country is located in. Also, you may need to consider being flexible regarding the location or the tier of the school for your first move. Most schools will offer a 2-year contract at the start, and you can take that as like, okay, it's 2 years. I can do 2 years and then I can move on to another location. Obviously, the longer commitments that you have at the school, and the more experiences you can create for yourself at the school will make your CV much more marketable and competitive. And also prepare for those virtual interviews that may be on short notice. Sometimes recruiters might reach out to you and say, hi, do you have an hour that we could chat today? And that has happened before too, where it's like, we have a week-long holiday next week, and I know everyone's going to be out of town, and I really want to talk with you today. So if you're flexible with that as well, the recruiter will remember that and think fondly of you. Next up, I will cover some interview tips from just some basic international school interviews. Typically, they will focus on how adaptable you are culturally. When you're working in international schools, there could be more than 30 schools represent or 30 countries represented within the school among students and teachers. And how adaptable are you when you're working with others who maybe they have different philosophies on education? Maybe they have different experiences which have shaped how they lead instruction. How do you work with them and in a productive way? How do you help each other grow? Those are things to highlight whenever you're talking with the recruiters. Also, working with multilingual learners. Oftentimes at international schools, especially those in Asia, a large majority of the students are learning English for the first time. And some of them are learning it as a second language or a third language. So I know, like we say at our school, everyone's an English language learning teacher because no matter what content or subject area you're certified in, you're also going to be helping students who have limited, maybe little to no English at all. And you have to teach them the content while also teaching them the vocabulary that they need to know or the grammar that they need to know too. Um, Also, international schools are looking at your conflict resolution, especially since we have a diverse parent community. Oftentimes, parents from different cultures have their own expectations of school or of teachers, or they have their own experiences when something happens with their child at school. How does it get handled? So there can be miscommunications and misunderstandings. It's very easy for that to happen. So how do you help prevent that? And also, how do you respond when it happens is essential to the overall classroom environment. Really, the parents need to know that they have a teacher who has their students' best interest in mind and trust that you are doing everything you can for the students in your class, and also excited to hold them accountable to your expectations in the classroom. So, your approach to conflict resolutions, both with students with teachers, or students with parents, those are essential in how effective you will be in an international school classroom. Also, high up there on the international school interviews topics will be safeguarding policies. Given that you're at an international school that's in a country that you are not native to or necessarily always super familiar with, the international school will have very strict set safeguarding protocols and procedures. How familiar are you with that concept? And also, are you able to take an active role in helping with the safeguarding of students and within the school? And again, kind of covered it earlier on, but also just your overall philosophy of education. Do you really think any student can learn and you can teach any student? Because if that's your mindset, then that's perfect. Like, you're meant for the international schools because you will have some students that you have never experienced before, because each student has their own individual strengths and weaknesses. And how do you approach the challenge that comes along with teaching children from different backgrounds than you? Your philosophy of classroom management, behavior management, time management, all of those will be asked in the interview process of, well, what would you do if this kind of situation were to arise? So it's important that you know who you are as a teacher when you are making that jump to an international school in another country. And also, here are some really common questions for international school interviews. How do you support EAL learners? And EAL stands for English as an Additional Language learners. Um, it's really important that if you haven't had that experience yet, you research into really helpful ways and strategies to do that, so that if you get asked this kind of question, you can answer it with, I haven't actually experienced that yet, but I imagine that I would do this strategy or this approach. Another question that you could be ready to answer is, how do you handle culturally sensitive situations? Sometimes looking a certain way can be considered rude, or saying something a little too loudly might be offensive to someone. How do you talk with that person, teacher, student, parent, maybe even an admin? How do you talk with them and handle that misunderstanding? And also, if you're going to another country where they have like a common religion that may be different than yours, and they have holidays that they celebrate, how do you encourage them to have their cultural practices and their traditions, and also be mindful that they may not be the same as yours? And another question that you can also be ready to answer would be, how do you contribute beyond the classroom? This is essential in international schools. Um, International schools become the main community for expats, both expat families, expat teachers. So, how do you do more than just clock in, teach, clock out? We're, looking for people who take initiative, who say, "Oh, you know what? This event is really fun, and I think it could work really well in our school. Here's my idea, and this is what I would like to do. Can I try this?" We want people to take initiative and not be afraid to try something new and see how it works, because maybe it becomes a new tradition within the school. Or maybe they're thinking, "Ooh, after school, I have an hour on Monday and Tuesday, and I have 5 students who are struggling in my classroom, and they really need help with homework. So I'm going to reach out to the parents, and I'm going to say, 'Hey, I'm available if you would like to leave them with me during after school time. I would love to help them more with math. They'll be in a group with 3 or 4 other kids at the same time. Send them my way.'" There's always ways that you can contribute outside of just the typical lessons of the day. International schools are going to want to know that when they bring you into the community, you're going to not only transition into the community smoothly, or eagerly, but they also want to know that when you're in the community, you're going to put your personal touch on it too. And you're going to leave your fingerprints, so that maybe after you have done your time and you want to move on to the next location or the next school or try the next challenge, that after you've left, we can still remember that you were there. We don't want, teachers who are easily forgettable. We want to have people who really want to impact the community for the better and provide opportunities for students that they are not able to get in their home countries, because most international school students are also expat students. So, yeah, that would be something to consider for interview tips. I hope I'm not going through this too quickly. Sometimes I talk really fast when I get a little nervous. Okay. Next up, we'll talk about marketing yourself. So, one key thing that international school teachers have to show is that they are highly adaptable. You can put them in any country, in any climate, in any city style, maybe it's rural, and they are going to adapt, and they are going to find ways to be okay wherever they are, in whatever situation they're in. These are key international skills. So you want to find a way to show that about you, if it is true. And if it's not true, then that's okay. But you you kind of want to be upfront about that. If you're not super adaptable, if you have a hard time settling in, if you need some help, international schools can be tricky, and there is a cycle of honeymoon and then, oh my goodness, what have I done? So that ability to adapt wherever you end up going, um, that is something that you want to be able to show during the interview process of how adventurous are you? How okay are you with being alone, even? Those are things that you want to consider about yourself if you're interested in being an international school teacher, because going away from your family, from your home, those are all really major life changes and really need a lot of thought to go into place before making that decision. Also, to market yourself, you want to provide clear current experience. So, talk about your degree or degrees, whatever your experience is for that. Make sure that your degree is notarized in your home country before you even apply. That way, when you get the job offer, you can quickly go through the visa process and get that started as quickly as possible. You want to have like a police clearance. When I was applying for international schools, I didn't even know that that was a thing. So I had to figure out, how do I get this document and how do I get it to my school in another country? Those are things that you'll want to consider. You'll also want to have your references already submitted into your online platform, which I do encourage using an online platform rather than applying directly to the school, because sometimes applying directly to the school, those can be missed, as the recruiters are typically looking at the online platforms and checking those every day. They get notifications right away saying, oh, you've got 2 new applications, or oh, you've got 7 new applications. You'll want to make sure your passport is valid for at least 18 or more months. So you don't want a passport that's about to expire. You want to have a passport that is as close to brand new as possible. That way, once you do move to a new country and you get that visa in there, you can still travel to where you would like to on holidays or something like that. Um, you also want to try to get an internationally recognized teaching license, like I mentioned earlier, which would be like from a university in America or from the UK. There are also online programs that you can look at that may be helpful in getting your current certifications shifted over, or maybe you have another program you can take online. If you're going into international schools, even if the school doesn't use the IB program, a lot of the philosophies behind the IB program are similar to AP or to other schools, where you want to have engaging lessons that students are interested in. And how do you do that? So IB training will be helpful even if you don't choose to go to a school that offers IB, because it will give you really good best practices and strategies for when you're teaching in your classroom. And schools like to see that. Also, for your current experience, you'd want to talk about any school initiatives that you have led. And if you haven't led any school initiatives, I encourage you to start as soon as possible. Go to your principals and say, hey, how can I help? What can I do? Get yourself involved and very needed in the school so that when you go on your CV, you can write all of the things that you're trying and you're doing, and find out if it's working or if it's failing. Even if you take a risk and you try something and it doesn't work out, that's still a marketable skill, because the ability to try and to allow yourself to try to make a club and then it doesn't actually go through, but I'm going to try again the next year, that will become a character trait of perseverance. Maybe you can lead a curriculum review. You can look at what's currently being taught across your school in whichever content area you like specifically, or whichever grade level you have your certifications in, and see, like, how can I help make sure that the math program makes sense from pre-K all the way up to grade 12, or that they're learning interesting skills in science and they're growing in the ability to inquire about a specific science strategy or science skill. Also, it would be helpful if you had some experience leading professional developments. Maybe you're really excelling at your classroom management and you go to your principal and you talk about your progress, and your principal says, "Oh, you do a great job handling your classroom. That's so great." Then you could respond with, "Thanks. I would love to share what I do in my classroom if you think that it would help other teachers in our school." And then allow yourself that opportunity to help teach and inspire the team that you work with. Those are highly in demand personality types in international schools because, again, we need those go-getters. We need people who are going to be positive, positive, like foundations within the school of, yeah, this curriculum is going really well, or, oh, we're going to try this instead. And we're just going to see from these 4 to 5 weeks how it goes. And then we're going to come back together and we're going to see if the students learned and how we know that they learned or that they didn't learn. And what will we do next? And getting the team together to review that and to continue on from there. That type of collaboration, professional development, those are really awesome to hear in the recruitment side of things because we want people to come to the school who are capable of doing that, or also just capable of having other people do that and saying, yeah, I want to be at this school, I want to be on your team, and you want me to follow a new curriculum that I don't necessarily know all the way. Great, I can do that because I'll read all about it, I'll research, and then you show like you're not the one who knows everything all the time, but that you have the ability to be interested and invested and you want to learn more. Those are really important traits to provide to recruiters. Also, we want to show that you have a focus on student learning outcomes. So more than just saying, your own philosophies, but focusing on how you know that the students are learning in your classroom. Maybe you had an assessment and students didn't do well on it, and you were like reflecting and wondering what happened. And then you discovered that all along you had been preparing them for one type of assessment, and then you surprise them with a different type of assessment, and you're in your reflection you're like, oh, I'm going to try this instead, and then you were able to see that the students did understand the content. Those kinds of stories that show that your teaching is connecting with students and they're learning the standards that you're trying to get them to learn, those are essential. You want to find as many of those experiences as you can to show that you are mindful of data and you are actively taking data, and that you can look at that and reflect on it, and you can help students grow. And that is at the center of every international school, every school in general. All of their focus is on student learning. Are we preparing these students to go and be lifelong learners? Are we preparing them to leave our school and go to university where they can succeed and then graduate from the university and leave a lasting impression on whatever community they end up going to? Those are all things to be mindful of ways to market yourself to recruiters. Also, be prepared to confidently describe your curriculum standards. Maybe you don't currently use a curriculum that the international school that you're applying for uses. But if you don't use that curriculum, really, really study up on what that curriculum means and how that curriculum got to be the way that it is, so that you understand what the standards are and why those are the standards. And if there are too many standards, how do you identify the most important ones for your class at that time? Also, be able to confidently describe the assessment systems that you prefer to use. Be confident with the way that you're going to use formative assessments to track student learning while they're being taught, and then also summative assessments to track student learning at the completion of the unit. A lot of international schools are looking for ways to get parents into the classroom and get parents involved in the students' learning. So, most of the assessments, the summative assessments that we use at my school are student performance based tasks. So, they are working towards something, and that something should bring parents into the classroom so that the students can explain what they have been learning and explain how they know that they understand it, and allow parents an opportunity to see, wow, they really have understood this concept that I did not think that a kid this age would be able to comprehend. How did they know that? And opportunities where you can get parents into your classroom to see the community, to see the work samples posted on the wall. Those are all really important in international schools because, again, we've got parents coming from different countries, different cultures, and they also are unsure sometimes of, did I make the right move for my family? Should we really be here right now? And when you show them how awesome the classroom is and how much learning the students are making, that builds confidence from parents. And that also kind of solidifies their decision of coming to your school. So we're looking for teachers who can also help with that because we want parents to be confident and comfortable when they send their students to school and saying, wow, I picked the best school, I think, in the whole wide world. um, yeah, so teachers play the biggest part in that because your classroom is the first thing that the parents see and that they get a glimpse into the whole school's mission and philosophy. So yeah, that's really important to keep in mind. Also, for marketing yourself, you're going to want to understand the school that you're interviewing with, what their safeguarding policies are. Most schools will post this information online, but you could also just look up some common international safeguarding policies so that you're familiar with it. It might be something as simple as like, don't take photos of children on campus, don't post them up on your personal social media pages. Um, those kinds of things too. So you want to look and see like what are your safeguarding policies. Um, and yeah. And also technology integration. This kind of depends on what type of school you are looking to apply to as well, like what their expectations are for technology. I know right now we're trying to be more intentional about the technology that we use in the classroom. And we're trying to make sure that teachers are creating activities for students that get them actively engaged in the real world with their friends. And you can use technology to do that. And can you do it well? That's the question. How do you get them to where they're not just on a screen and they're not just learning from some app online? How do you get them using technology in a way that sparks collaboration with other kids and maybe challenges other kids to develop their communication skills? Um, how do you integrate technology in a way that students understand that they are not just consumers of technology, but they can use technology as a tool to create something? That is really important. I know at our school specifically, but I do think that the way that technology is going, a lot of schools are going to start looking for teachers who do more than just put someone on an app. You have to know how to use technology and how to integrate it into your classroom and still keep yourself as the most important thing in the classroom for information and knowledge and learning, and getting the students engaging with each other and trying tasks that are new to them. Those are really integral into the classroom today. And last here, I wanted to talk about some financial preparations. When you are moving to a new country, it is really exciting, and sometimes people can get so caught up in the excitement of the experience that they forget some of those real world challenges, like taxes. How does the country do taxes? What does it look like? Some countries have a set number of days that they require you to be in the country in order to receive a certain tax status. So you'd want to make sure that you understand what that country's governance is, because if they say you need to be in the country for 186 days, then in order to receive that tax status, and then you're going to arrive, but you're not going to have that amount, then you need to ask them, for some clarity. Or if you're leaving the country and you haven't met that time, then you need to make sure that you make that time. So keep in mind that not all countries have the same taxing status and taxing processes. Procedures, sorry. So you want to make sure that you understand that really well. Also, housing allowances. It's common to have housing allowances at schools, but it's not always very common. So then you want to consider, what's the salary being offered? How much will housing cost? How much do the typical cost of living, how much is the typical cost of living in that country? You want to do some research into those things. And maybe you have to prepare a certain amount of money before you go to the country so that you can put a deposit down on the apartment. So then that might take some time for you to save up and extend your international school travel time. Those are all kind of common things that kind of hide below the radar, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, I have to find a way to get to this country too. So you want to start saving up as soon as you make the decision to go international. You want to start saving money for that, because some schools will cover a lot of it, but they won't cover all of it necessarily. So it's important to have a nice amount saved up for that. Also, health insurance. Most schools will provide health insurance for the employed contract and the contracted employee, and also for their dependents, but they have to be legal dependents. So you have to be legally guardians of your children, or legally their parent, legally their spouse. All of those are super important, and make sure that you have those documents to prove that too. Some schools also will contribute to retirement. It's important that you double check and ask about that. What's the process look like? How easy is it to withdraw it when you leave the country? Because that can also help you when you continue on your travels. If you know you're going to stay at a country for a certain amount of time, and you can put into a retirement fund that's tax-free, and then when you go to withdraw all of that, you can take that money with you. That kind of acts like a savings account. Those are really helpful to know and understand. And then also, if you have children, then you want to know, like, what is tuition like? Are the children covered with your contract, or do you have to pay all or part of their tuition costs? Those are really important details to iron out. Some contracts, you want to check their exit clauses too. If it's a school that has an at-will contract, those can be pretty high stakes, but typically it's not a problem. Some people get a little afraid whenever it says you're hired at will, but that just means that do your job well, please. And you don't have to be worried or concerned about that type of thing. But it is important to know and understand what all specific details are inside of the contracts. And then relocation expenses. How much will your flight into that country cost? And does the school cover it? Or do they reimburse you after you arrive? When do they reimburse you after you arrive? All of those questions are really important to figure out in the interview process so that you can determine, is this the right fit or not? Is this where I want to be? Is this going to be a smart move for myself or my family? Those are essential in that. So I got a question here. Nice. I didn't even know that could work. Awesome. Okay. Is there any age limit for applying for teaching job abroad, and can one move with family? Yes, that is a really great question. Thank you so much for asking that. So in the country I currently am, the age limit for a new employment pass is 60 years old. So you'd want to look into the country that you're interested in and see what those visa processes and employment passes, what they are looking like. And when you're bringing your family, most schools can get dependent passes, dependent visas for, again, legally married and then legal children. When you are going to another country, it is also important to know what marriages they consider legal, because countries have different expectations and viewpoints on those things. So, marriage contracts may not always be viewed as legal depending on the country that you're looking at going into. So, it's important that you do some research on that. Other relocation expenses that you might want to consider before you go are transportation. Do you need to have a car? Do you need to buy a motorcycle? That means you need to get a driver's license, and maybe save up some money to do that purchase when you get there. Um, or maybe you're going to a city that has public transportation and you can live maybe 30 minutes away, but you can take the bus or the train the whole way to school and back, and it's fine. You want to look and see what the average cost of living is in that country and in that area so that you can kind of budget out your life, because most people go to international schools because they want to travel and they want to see the world. So it's important that you look at your own personal budgetary needs and see, can I afford this, or should I look elsewhere? Should I keep looking? Those are really important considerations. Also, your expat expectations. Are you planning to travel every weekend? Are you planning to host really big parties with a lot of expats? What kind of expat lifestyle are you wanting? And then see if it's possible where you're looking at. And also going home. You want to consider for relocation, how far away is it from your home and how easy would it be to travel back home? Because those are really important when you're missing your family. I got another question here. Thank you. Do these apply to teaching via online? If you're teaching in an online platform, I think that's what you mean. So teaching in an online platform, yeah, no, you wouldn't have to worry about a lot of these things because you'd be able to stay remotely wherever you are and work remotely.
Let me just say something first. Those of us who have questions, please, you can post your questions either on YouTube or on Google Meet. I will send it directly to the screen. That way we don't have to unmute ourselves, and there won't be so much distraction. So if you have any question, just post it in any of these platforms. I will copy it and then send it to the screen.
Thank you, Rotimi. Yes, perfect. So I got to the last of what I was talking at you about. If you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to try and answer them for you. I must admit, I don't know everything about international schools, but I'm happy to help as best as I can. Oh, good. Thank you so much. I'm happy that it was helpful for you. Any opportunities for someone who wants to teach online, travel to another country? You can definitely find opportunities to teach online. You would just have to look into that. I know, like, some teachers that I've worked with, they do tutoring sessions online for an hour or 2 hours. And I'm not sure which program they go with, but you could look into that.
All right. Do we have any question? Thank you so much, Dala, for the session. Do we have any question? Maybe as we wait for that question, my first question to you, which I think a couple of people have asked me before, is teaching certificates necessary, or is it a deal breaker always, or are there times that your experience and other things could get you into some of these schools?
So it depends on where you are. So if you are able to get into an international school with the experience that you have and you build more experience there, and then while you're teaching, maybe that's when you start to pursue an official.
Oops. Oh, I think internet, she dropped off. Okay. Okay. Let me bring her back in. Sorry, I think,
Hey, sorry, I got kicked out.
yeah, you can. All right. Let's just, since you're done sharing your screen, let's just move on to this
Okay,
other screen. Yeah. So let's use
that
this
works.
screen.
It's good to see you again, Rotimi, rather than just a voice.
All right. Yeah. So you can go ahead and answer the question if you
Can
want.
you remind me what the question was? Sorry.
So I said, is it always that teaching certificate from an international from a foreign country is necessary for you to teach in this international school? Or there are times where if you have say your experience and then your own local teaching certificate, that should suffice to get you into some of these places.
Yeah, as long as you have like a certified license to teach in your country, and that country that you're applying to can recognize it, then that would work. So, like for example, I work at an American curriculum school, so it's an American international school, but we can accept international teaching license, from England or from Spain or from Australia or from. I'm not sure about Nigeria specifically, but I know that you have that credential, then it's valid, then yeah, you can go anywhere. I'm just saying that if you're applying to schools that use a specific curriculum, having that specific curriculum's certification will make you more marketable in the long run. So if you have that, because if you are going to teach at an American school, for example, and you have an American teaching certification, then that makes you more marketable to that recruiter of saying, oh, I won't have to teach them as much about our curriculum and how we teach it.
Okay. All right. Are there opportunities also for people once they are able to first step into such a role? Maybe they still need the certificate. Will they be able to, while teaching, apply or secure such certificate? Will that also be a possibility?
I mean, the worst thing you can do is apply an interview and see how it goes. Some schools are capable of doing that. It depends on the country that they're in and the laws and restrictions to get an employment pass. So if you were to start wherever you are currently located, if there's an international school there that would be more likely to accept for sure your current certifications or experiences, and then kind of work your way through there. That might be an opportunity for you.
All right, as we round up with your session, are there any other questions out there that you would like to ask Dala before we delve into looking at the platforms? So we just run through a few platforms and then we can wrap it up. Any other question? Maybe what advice would you give to people listening? What are the advice you could offer to help them in terms of what they need to do?
Yeah, I think the most helpful thing I can tell you is if you feel that call to go into international schools, make every effort to make it happen for yourself because it really is worth it. Even though it might be a little bit more of paperwork and maybe degrees, or some kind of a hassle that you're like, maybe not. But I really want to encourage you to try and to keep trying, and work towards it because international school life has been a special opportunity for me, and I've learned so much and I've grown so much compared to just teaching at schools back home where I'm from. So I always want to encourage people to make that jump. It's quite scary and it's big, and you're leaving your family and you're leaving your home and you're leaving your food and you're leaving your culture and you're leaving a lot of things behind. But what you can take away from the experience that you set yourself up for is life changing. So if you feel that call to international schools, make it happen. You can do it. There's always a way. So just make it happen.
All right. Thank you so much, Dala. It's been a wonderful time with you, and we hope to. If there are questions, I would also get back to you. And then, so again, for every one of us, if you have any question, you can answer here, or you can ask, or you've not been able to think through it. You can still send it to me. I will get the responses and post it in the community. If we do not have any other question for Dala, let me check online if there is any question. Okay, on YouTube there isn't any, and on the Google Meet also there isn't any. All right, Dala, thank you so much. Do have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thanks for coming. Thanks for sharing your experiences with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a lovely
Uh,
time.
and you too. Bye bye. All right, so I would continue from here. I just want to appreciate every one of us that have been patient enough to join. Thank you once again. So my session will focus mainly on the platforms where you can begin this journey. But before I go ahead, I just want to highlight a few things that she said. If this is something you want to do, you don't know until you take the step. So I will advise you to watch this video again and then take the step. You can put yourself out there. If not for anything, it is about you making sure that you put yourself out there and hoping and praying that one day, someday, the opportunity will come. You will not be able to leverage on an opportunity that you have not prepared for. And preparing for that opportunity or preparing for something, when eventually it comes, you will be able to take advantage of it. Um, Also, secondly, is that be good at what you do. Um, yes, there are a lot of instances where some schools sets it as a priority that you have to have this certificate, maybe Australian certificate, UK certificate, American certificate, New Zealand, maybe some South Africa. But what I can tell you is, right, if you want to go the route of first, let me acquire the certificate, you can. There are a lot of online schools where you could start undergoing some of their courses, and then you get the certificate. If that's the route you want to go, you get the certificate. You keep building yourself up in your school, teaching and studying to improve yourself, to raise yourself to that standard where you can compete globally. Then you go for the certificate. But if you are still you want to take the route where you would put yourself out there, keep applying, attending the interviews, getting the best out of your, making the most out of your opportunities, improving yourself, and then one day that would happen. I have stories of people that such opportunities have come. I am one of them too. I don't have the certificate. My wife also is an example. She's going to eventually get the certificate. But um, there are exceptions, and you can be that exception. But if you don't try, then you won't know that that opportunity exists. So I just want to put that up. And when you get into such opportunities, you can then take the step to acquire the certificate. Another area that you can focus on is first focus on. I remembered I also signed up on some of these platforms back in those days, especially Search, and they assigned me a counselor or an agent that would guide you through the process of setting up and all of that. And after I've gone through all of those process, and we had an exchange. He now told me that, okay, for me, because I have not stepped out first, it will be good if I can get a teaching position or a position in an international school within my country, and that serves as a stepping stone. I've seen some people who step in. I've known of some people whose stepping stone was to step out into maybe other African countries, and then from there they step out to Europe or Asia. Some people focus, they first go through the route of Asia. I think you get better chances, or you get the chance of stepping out when you first start with focusing on maybe international school within your country or international school within your continent, or some tier two, tier three international school. There are some that are called tier one, then there's tier two, tier three. So you have a lot of routes. The tier two and some of the tier twos and most of some of the tier threes might not focus primarily or heavily on certificates. Certificate is one of it, but if you they look at your CV, they look at your experiences and the things that you've done, then they might give you the opportunity. That's why it's necessary for you to begin to rework your CV, and that's where I probably will start from. Just walking through my slide and then focusing on things that you need to work on, especially in the way you structure your CV, in the way you word, in the words that you use in your CV. Rather than focusing on routine, you focus on milestones, you focus on achievements, and I will take a look at some of those examples. All right, let me just see if I can bring my screen up. Um, oh, oh, sorry, I'm sharing a different screen. Change my screen. Sorry, I'm sharing a different screen. Okay. Uh, Please let me know if and when you are able to see my screen. Let me see this. If this will work. Okay, this is still the same thing. I'll change it to this. Okay. All right. So this is not a comprehensive presentation. You will still have to do your own homework and get to know what you need to do as it relates to. Uh, sorry, start from the first. Now, I'll start by first trying to go through platforms. Now, we have two categories of online platforms where you can sign up for. There are those that are agencies and those that are like software as a service or job board or digital marketplaces. For agencies, they're a recruiting company. Uh, so you put up your profile, they assign an agent to you, and then that agent goes through all of your documents, does all the vetting. The school does not spend money on background check and all of that. So the agencies go through that process with you, do all the vetting, get you to provide them all the documents, and they harmonize that together and then present you to schools. Actually, the agencies will the agent that is assigned to you or the consultant assigned to you will try to match you up with schools. Um, One of the most prominent one among them is called Search Associates. So you go online, Teacher Horizon also is the same. There are two examples of such places. So you do all of the vetting on their platform. I will show you a comparison in terms of cost. The amount the agency costs more. The agency costs more than the SAS as software as a service job board. The agencies cost more. The software as a service is platforms that post jobs. Schools signs up on this platform. They post their openings, and you yourself you create a profile. Their model is that you pay annual subscription fee. Some of them have the freemium and then the premium package. The freemium, you can see all of the job adverts and you can apply yourself. But some of them have some features that are um, premium features. Example are Scroll, TAS, GRE, and TIE. I would, part of this presentation, when I send it to your emails, you will also get the links to all of these platforms. And so you can go and start applying or start setting up profiles for yourself, depending on which one you want. So there's the success fee versus the subscription. Uh, the success fee are mostly done by the um, consulting or agencies where the school will pay them for every recruitment. Some of them charge the teachers too. So if the agent gets you a job, they can take 10 to 20% of your salary. And some of them, it is the school that pays. The school pays them for this service. And I will show us a table that breaks that down. And that will also be sent to every one of us. But for the subscription model, it's flat annual fee for unlimited adverts. So the school places an advert there and it's a annual fee and they can place as many adverts as possible. So you see a lot of tier two, tier three schools and some tier one schools on this platform. The tier one schools mostly go with the agencies because they know they are paid for the service. So all of the vetting and everything is done by that agency. Uh, Schools are increasingly using supply agencies to find temporary staff with the intent to convert them to permanent role, allowing them to access a teacher's fit before committing to expensive relocation and visa costs. So these are some of the ways that schools cut costs. Now let's look at how you structure your CVs. You know, more than 75% of applicants get kicked out because of the CV. Now, maybe not most of the schools, but schools that subcontract their recruitment to agencies. Those agencies, a lot of them now, they use software, they use AI to they set some criteria in the AI, and the AI just scans through every CV. So if your CV does not meet some of those criteria, they don't even look at it. And just like Dallas said, there are some very specific things that they look at, your references and all of that. So this one talks about conciseness, 2 page maximum. Use bullet points rather than dense paragraph where you are writing stories. Most recruiters don't have time to read through those stories. So very catchy bullet points for any of your achievements. You put it there. And that's why we'll be looking at the best way for you to phrase some of these things that will make it catchy and very, very attractive in terms of presenting what you have done. So designed for rapid scanning by HR managers and applicants tracking system. Again, like I said, a lot of organizations now are using AI to sift through CVs. Whole school profile. Elite schools want educator who contributes beyond the classroom. So it's not just about what you've done in the classroom. Co-curricular activities, coaching, pastoral care, which is same thing as counseling, and community initiative. Um, um, so these are just examples of schools that does that. So what are the things that you've done within your school outside the classroom? Those are things that speaks about the your profile and persona as a person, not just what you are within your classroom, but what you are outside and other things that you are able to contribute. Initiative, side projects that you have been able to implement in the school and how that has transformed the school. So these things are very key things that you need to put on your CV. Now, in terms of quantifying, it's not just about quantity of what you the quantity of what you've done. Is about being able to quantify it, being able to also provide it in a very qualitative way. So let it be mostly action verb, what you did, and then measurable result. For example, implemented individualized learning plan, improving, which is the result. So you implemented it is what you did. improving math score by 25%. That is the result. So there was a so what you've technically done with this statement is that you highlighted subtly uh, the problem that the school has, then what you did in order to solve those problems, and then the solution. So problem, your plan to solve the problem, and then the solution. Those are examples of what um, how you could structure everything that you've done within the school. Achieved an average IBDP English score of 5.8 across cohorts. So let it be majorly goal oriented, result oriented, and problem specific, that you are solving a problem. Not just say, I taught maths, lesson plan, homeroom teacher, this is what I do. But being able to um, being able to put up results, measurable results that can be stated. And if you're wondering about how do I get those, how am I able to measure those results? You grade your students at the end of the term. Let's say, for example, you have a student coming to class that does not know something, or cannot speak, or cannot articulate themselves, or they have some behavioral deficiencies. But as you help them within the class, you are able to see them transition from the reclusive, non-talking student to very expressive and bold student. Those are things, those are achievements that you can document. That this have helped struggling learners to achieve uh, 50, maybe seven, first certain level of percentile in their score at the end of the term. Those are good ways to uh, present your CV. So again, another thing is gaps within your CV. It's better you structure it month and year, and every gap you have, you need to explain it, what you did within those gaps, whether it's study leave, maternity leave. If there is a gap in years of employment, don't leave it blank, because they always look at that too. So the recruiters scorecard, what they look at, 53% of teachers already use AI for CVs. 46% use educational technology daily. School prioritize teachers who integrate artificial intelligence as a supportive tool, not as a tool that completely does everything for them, but as a supportive tool. So you should be able to learn how to use technology, which is what the community is focused on also, as we work on things that we need to work on. You must demonstrate an ability to adopt lesson for multicultural, diverse ability class. When you say diverse ability, it means you have different students, level of comprehension is different, um, learning styles are also different. In some international school, you could have as much as 30 or 40 countries represented, depending on how big that school is and how cosmopolitan that country or that location where the school is, how cosmopolitan it is. You have a lot of diversity, so you should be able to know how to adopt lessons for multicultural engagement and to carry people along so that students are not left behind. Then again, cultural intelligence, the ability to interact effectively with people outside your own culture. It's very, very necessary. The last one is longevity. If your CV documents you hopping from one job to the other, that might not be speaking well. That has to do with your commitment to where you find yourself, and it's necessary for you to know that employers, especially international school, there's a lot of investment in the teachers when they recruit. Some schools will give you travel allowance to move your family. They will give you maybe housing allowance. Some would also provide education for free for your students, pay the government for all of the processing fee that is necessary to get you into the school. So it's a whole lot of investment. And so that's why they would look at people that would be able to stay with them for 2 years and possibly even stay longer. They're not looking at job hoppers that want to stay 6 months and then jump around. Now let's look at your self-audit check, things that you need to check yourself on. Can I provide data-driven evidence of school growth? This of student growth, sorry. It is necessary that you document these things. When you start a class at the beginning of the school year, document your assessment of your students and then measure it as you progress in your teaching. These are the ways you can derive or generate data-driven evidence. You should document them. Maybe, for example, you have a spreadsheet. You did your first CA or at maybe the first 2 weeks of school to gauge how the students are or where the level they are, or at the beginning of the school year, you do that. And then 3 weeks into, 1 month into, 4 week, 2 months into the term, you have all of this documented and you can see the progression. So these are data driven. You will be able to use that to build up your CV. Am I comfortable with AI assisted interview or tech forward pedagogy that you are able to teach or leverage technology in all that you do? You cannot want to work in international school and not be able to navigate your way around technology. So you might need to invest in yourself. You might need to invest in getting technology, computers if you don't have, and then leveraging on all of those tools. Most of the international schools um, uses Google Workspace or Microsoft Office 365. And these are tools that we'll be working with educators on the tech-enabled teachers community to get you exposed to these tools and then make sure that you learn them. Have I demonstrated cultural intelligence in my previous diverse settings? Does my CV show a commitment to staying for a full duration of my contract? So these are questions you need to ask yourself, especially that of the CV. It's really very necessary. She had talked about the recruitment cycle, and June to August mostly is when the returning teachers come in. October is when recruitment starts. So you have from now till then to begin to build up yourself, sign up on all these places, and then put in. And there are instances where there are instances where some schools employed some people, but maybe because of visa issues or the contract got broken, they will need to quickly recruit. And so there are some snap recruitment that would happen. Some school might probably still be recruiting, maybe because somebody broke contract or they had a commitment in August for the school year that starts in. They have had a commitment within this time for school year that starts in August, and then the person changes his mind. So there are some snap recruitment. Now is the time for you to begin to get all of those things, get your certificates accredited in the Ministry of Education. Just all that you need to get ready, get ready. If you need police report, just gradually spread the cost over a period of time. Get everything that you need to get ready, and then start applying, and then trust God that that door will be open for you. So by October, recruitment starts. By January, February, um, if schools have not done their recruitment, they now go for recruitment, global recruitment fair. They do job fair. Some of them are physical, some of them are online. For most of those job fairs, some people you would have to pay to be part of it if you want to do online. So the online version is open to everyone, and I think you can leverage on that. That is where you put in your CV, and then you get interviewed, and if you succeed, then the process kicks off. Um, March to June is late season vacancy, emergency or last minute needs. So, like I mentioned, somebody breaks the contract, or the number of students they planned for increased for the new year, and they needed to quickly just recruit. And that's what you see from maybe from next month onwards. It will just be mostly SNAP or emergency recruitment. Most schools would have finished their recruitment by now. Okay, so October sprint, then January fair pick. So most of the job fair are always in January. Uh, Normally, there's always verbal acceptance, but then they will email everything to you. There will be verbal offer, initial made via email. It is legal and ethical condition upon satisfactory completion of safeguarding check. They will do criminal record, ICPC, and all of that. But again, if you are using the agencies, they will have asked you for these things. And if you are not using agencies, most of the platforms you can upload them there. So some of the schools will reach out to you and ask for them, and they will do all of this. Um, Reference is very, very critical, and it's very, very important that we get our references right. Most platforms or most schools now do not take on the to whom it may concern. They are very generic and fails to address specific safeguarding or professional standard. Top platform requires online confidential references submitted directly by supervisors. So some of these, when some of these platform also allows schools to send reference documentation directly from their platform. You provide the email address of your references, and then they communicate directly to that reference. So they are looking for people that have worked with you, mostly your supervisors, not your fellow teachers within the school, and they'll be asking them specific questions. So references are very important. Reference is very necessary for. Sorry, my battery is about to go down. So it's necessary that you get your references in and ensure that the people that you are using for reference um, are aware that, and then you give um, i- accurate information. Let me give you a story. The first, my first job in an international school was in American International School of Abuja, and I came in as a network manager. That was the role I applied for. So we had multiple, three layers of interviews, one verbal interview, then one practical, and then the last one with the head of IT. Then I was coming in as network manager. So it boiled down to two of us. And actually, I had a friend in that school that told me about the about the opening, so I sent him a CV. So we're down to two, and as much as he was a part of the team, but his boss was going to be the deciding factor. And so the boss said, okay, he doesn't know who to choose among both of us. And so what is going to be a deal breaker will be reference. And so they got the email out and they were supposed to send emails to our references. Fortunately for me and unfortunately for the other guy, when he was writing the email address, whether it was digital or handwritten, but I think it was digital, writing the email address of his reference, he wrote it incomplete. He wrote the full name at gmail dot. He didn't put the remaining. So there was no complete. Bottom line is that there was no complete reference email. And my friend that I knew that we worked together in that school now told me that his boss literally says, if this guy is applying for an IT position and he cannot write a full email address, then there's going to be a problem. And that was a singular thing that eliminated that guy, and I got the job. So it is necessary. References are necessary. Um, as a matter of principle, I believe that references are not the people that provide you the best reference are not the people you have on your CV. They are the people that, by way of working with them, you have committed, you have written your own CV on their heart, so that wherever they find themselves, if there's an opening, they will remember you. So it's not about writing their names on your CV, it's about you writing your name on their heart by the reason of your level of commitment to work when you were there with them. And wherever they find themselves, they will always remember you. That has been my story, bottom line. So requirement, a minimum of four references must include your current head of school, principal, and a direct supervisor. The no-go zone, references from peer teacher. Most of them will not. Most of them will not recognize a fellow teacher referencing you. Advice supervisor, you are setting up an account to prepare option for the future to maintain a positive relationship. So whoever you are going to use for your reference, let them know, and then let them know why you are doing what you're doing. If you are using your principal direct supervisor, you cannot use their personal emails. It has to come from their official school emails. It is necessary. Because again, it's very, very confidential and it's very professional. They don't want from peers, they want directly from supervisors. All right. Now, I would like to compare some of the platforms, but this table, I would first of all use this table to tell you the differences. So, GRC, TES, they are all job boards. So, annual cost, Teacher Horizon is free, because the school that places the advert pays the subscription annually. TES is also usually free, and this is heavily focused on British national curriculum, focuses on field test educators. So this Teacher Horizon and Search Associate are agents. Search Associate also vets. So Search Associate you pay approximately 225. I would think about 75 dollars annually. Scroll. There is a freemium for this. They just merged, just as she said. It used to be ISS. ISS has a separate one. Scroll is also a separate one. There's a fee for premium features, and then there is also the free free package where you're able to upload your profile and all of that, but you will not be able to do some things. So these are some of the ones that you have. TIE is a marketplace, and they also do. There are some of them that also offers you opportunity to do some programs if you want to. They can also help you with foreign certificates and all of that, teaching certificates and all of that. Let's just. This table is blurry, so I would use a browser to just show that to us, so we can just go through it. Let's see. Okay. I would expand it and then we can just let me know if you can see. Okay, so Search Associate are like one of the top. Organizes recruitment fair worldwide, expensive job database and candidate support. Extensive job database and candidate support. Cost for teacher is about $100 per year membership after acceptance. So you don't just pay until they've gone through all of their processes and then they've accepted you, then you would pay. That's what I told you, that they will get you uh, an agent, a consultant that will work with you all through until you've met all their requirements. Then they will accept you. That way they can now market you to schools. Cost to school, $2,000 above. US pay 500 per year. So placement fee, the schools pay. So when a school wants them to get a student, a teacher for them, the school pay per teacher is 1,980 US dollar. They pay to the for the for that placement because they've done all the vetting, they've done all the work. The school don't need to do anything. So for teacher, there's no fee on your placement. You only pay for your membership and all of that. International School Agency, which is ISS, they've now merged with SHRO. It's a large not-for-profit. It's free to register. Um, Cost to school, the schools pay ISS membership annually and pay per hire. So they also pay the platform for every hire that they hire through them. Some school post the job there and then they reach out directly to you. Or some school post it there and get ISS to do the recruitment. For payment, there is no placement fee, no fee. Model school pay ISS only if they hire a candidate. So the teacher doesn't pay, it's the school that pays. No teacher fee also. Teacher Horizon is agency tech-driven portal, modern tech-driven agency and job portal. You can curate school profile, personalized recruitment support. To set up a profile is free to access job, no sign-up fee. free schools, free to join, create profile. And if you are a school owner too, you can get teachers from there. No placement fee. EdVectors, EdVectors is also there. Registration and ongoing use are completely free. Seekers.com, I'll send this to you and then you can take their name and go set up a platform for whichever you want. And I also put it here to see the region where they focus on, uh, global, North America. This one is global, US, Asia. Teacher Horizon is also global. EdVectors is global. Strong in Asia. SeekTeacher.com is Asia and Middle East. Brian Recruitment, Middle East. Teach Away, global, has many countries. Uh, so then TESS also does education. This TES, they also train. And then they do recruitment too. Thai Online, I've used this before. Um, Free and open for all. The school will pay for listing their ads, uh, pay for job posting. For teacher placement is always free, and there are a couple of other ones. So I will share this with us. In rounding up, I will just want to just take you to the portal, to the profile, to the web pages to see how they look like, and you can immediately sign up for them and begin to set up your profile. Um, all right, so the first one is this is Search Associate. Let me see if I still remember. Okay, my username and password is actually still there. Let's see if it's yeah. So yeah, see my profile is 50% progress. Application incomplete. So it shows you a list of all of the things that you have completed. Confidential references incomplete. CV and resume not resumed, not received. Registration fee not received. So it's after you've done all of this and completed, then the the consultant will meet with you, and once everything is done, then the system now begins to match you with schools. And once you are matched with school, the school also gets an alert on their own portal that you've been matched with them. And then they look at your profile. If you're suited, then they begin to work with you until that is done. So again, this one you have to pay at the end of the day. You can see my associate, it will tell me who my associate is. It assigns somebody to me, Brian Letinga. So this guy will be the one, whoever is assigned to you will be the one that will guide you through all of the applications, all of the setup. Once you're done, you're done. So this is test. Again, you just sign in. I don't think I have a sign in. Yeah, you create an account. Oh, sure. Okay. Let me use this one. So they've merged. Okay. Let me just pull up the this one I haven't set up. I just did, but I didn't set up a lot. But you can find a job, you'll see postings if there are. So you can see teacher physics up to A level closes in 14 days. So some of them are still open, and you are supposed to start in August. This. So you'll be able to see different schools, different teachers. This is in Macau, Tokyo, Kuala Lumpur. Um, so this is how easy it is, and then you can view the job details. It will give you the job details, and if your profile is complete, you can directly just apply for the job here. So ISS and TS and Stroll, They are the same. That's why here it says, you can see it says TES is powered by Scroll. Test does training, and then they do a lot of um, educational training for teachers. So they are using their recruitment is being done through Shroud, and I think ISS has also merged with Shroud. So we look at ISS as we progress. So that's how easy it is here to apply for a job. You will see the details of it. Sign up, get your profiles ready, and then there's no harm in applying for as many as possible. Just keep applying. You will one day get an interview, and if it doesn't happen this year, the more you keep trying and getting yourself prepared, you'll be able to have that opportunity. All right, so that's that about test. This is test. Okay, so we just opened it. ISS. Let's see. Do I have a login detail for this one? All right, done. ISS. I think I normally get an email from these guys. It's been a long time. Then there is Teacher Way. You can see these guys also offer online teaching certification. So if you want to first go the route of the teaching certification, you can. I know that there is a school in Abuja that an international university in the US normally conducts summer classes on their premises, and you can get certified by the school. I think the school is in New York, so you can see that these ones have offering for teaching certification. You can apply. So Moreland University. So with that, you get your teaching certification. uh, You can spread the fee. I think they have a lot of packages for free, so you can leverage on that. I'll post all of this link in the discussion, in the email that will be sent to everybody that registered. Then the same thing with EdVectors. I've never used this before. TIE, uh, one of the schools I've worked with, I've used this before uh, to post jobs and recruitment. Let's see. Then there's also job seekers. So all of this together with the links, the PowerPoint presentation for both myself and Dala will be sent via email, and the table also will be posted. I'll put it in a slide to make it much more presentable rather than making it small. So you get that, and then you get a document with links to some of these sites. So that will be sent to everybody via the email. If you registered, you will get it. If you don't, then you won't be able to get it. So as we round up, I just want to encourage you, if not for anything, prepare yourself for a global audience. We started that actually before when we looked at um, setting up a digital portfolio for yourself, for you to be able to put yourself out there. And this might be the opportunity for you to also do that. Um, just prepare yourself. If not for anything, know that you are at par with international teachers and you are ready for any of such opportunities. You don't know when the knock will come or when the door will come, when the door will be open for you to step out. So it's better you just prepare. And even if you don't want to, even if that opportunity is yet to come, this preparation will also improve you in your current place of work, and you'll be able to do better. I think that's where we will just leave this for now. If we will just take a few questions. If you have questions, we can take questions now as we begin to round up for today. Any question? Do we have any question? All right, let me see. All right. Okay. If there are no questions, then we can begin to call it a day. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Um, the video will be on YouTube, and then the links also will be sent to every one of us. The live recording is on YouTube currently, but we'll take it away from there and then move it to maybe after a little bit of some edit, we'll make it available and then publish it. Please don't forget to like and share the videos, subscribe to the channel. And if you are not part of the community yet, please just join the community. We have a lot of things coming up for teachers. And the community is a platform where you learn. We see it as a professional development platform for teachers to improve themselves and to learn. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. You're much appreciated. And I hope that you've learned something here and that you will begin to deploy what deploy what you have learned here and seek to improve yourself and seek opportunities to further improve yourself and then to further advance your career. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I hope to see you another time. Have a wonderful day.